What's up everyone, Zach here with Project Eternal's devlog number 5, and today we're going to be continuing discussing Knights of the Forgotten Realm, the first of the two titles within the project. As always, be sure to feed that YouTube algorithm by smashing the like button and subscribe if you already haven't, but let's go ahead and get started. A lot got completed in Knight of the Forgotten Realm. Some of it's not as visual, but there was a lot of essential things completed that needed to get done. For instance, pre-alpha build 0.5 was delivered to a handful of testers and met with positive feedback when it wasn't crashing. More on that in a moment. Testers stated that the combat was fun once they got the hang of it, and performance was solid across a plethora of different configurations. Some optimization though still needs to be done on the lower end of things around the 1050 Ti region. Some other feedback included things that should have been described better. The power bar, for instance. Also, the AI could have been a bit more engaging, and there needs to be more room to face Side Dungeon 1's boss. Stuff I noticed while watching two of the testers besides what I just stated is that folks love to dodge instead of just blocking things, and things need to be nerfed to ease folks into the game as well, because the wolves can definitely take a good bit of your health away before you notice it, and it's just not a great experience when you first start out. So about that crash, long story short, apparently you shouldn't use tessellation in larger landscapes without stress testing first. I investigated and discovered my game was plagued by a known engine issue, which caused crashes in level 1, aka the Forbidden Forest, but didn't in the currently unnamed level 2. It's fixed now though, so I'm happy about that, because at least through all my research that went into that, which was multiple days of research, I fixed a lot of other potential crashing issues by learning about isValid nodes, which prevent nulls from being created by invalid variables, which can cause the in-game garbage collector to become overwhelmed and create crashes. Unfortunately, that wasn't the fix though. I just had to delete tessellation from level 1. That's all I had to do. And I wish the shipping bill would have gave me a description to tell me to do that, but I had to end up packaging it as a development build, and then I got an error that actually made sense to me, so that's what I ran with and finally found that issue. So at least I learned about a couple different ways to troubleshoot these types of crashes, so in the future I shouldn't have as much of a roadblock when I run into them, so that's good. And also by eliminating these nulls, the smoothness of the game matches the frame rate a lot more now too. It's so much more smooth than it was before, so all in all, fantastic. Before we move on to the new additions and enhancements though, I do just gotta give a huge shout out to all my testers, as Knight of the Forgotten Realm is now a much better game, and all of you who check out Alpha 1 will greatly benefit from their efforts. As much as this is a solo developed project, proper testing can't be done without a village, and soon that village will expand to allow you all in as well, and your feedback will be just as important in order to make this game as best as it could be. So smack that like button if you're hyped for Alpha 1. Alrighty, so with fixing those crashes and optimizing the game out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to UI improvements. The main menu now has more curb appeal due to the fire being less squished and sparks flying around all over the place. I also got rid of the title for now too. I want a better logo before I put that up there, because the text just being up there by itself is very ugly. The settings menu also has been expanded to include resolution, different screen types like windowed, full screen, as well as windowed full screen, aka borderless window. There's also pixel density settings that right now only apply to borderless window, but that'll be expanded in the future to include the other screen types too. There's also now master volume with the default set at 30%, which is the only logical default setting for sound, by the way, so that way you don't damage people's hearing upon booting up the game. Something almost every AAA developer loves to do. Why? I have no idea. Apparently hundreds of $1,000,000 you can't fix blowing people's eardrums out, but in my game you don't have to worry about it, and you also don't have to worry about motion blur. Huzzah! With that ran out of the way, the other big UI improvements is the soul enhancement menu, which has been completely redesigned. Some stuff isn't 100% aligned properly just yet, but it'll get there in time. There's also going to be more passive and active skills added too over the coming weeks, so there's going to be a lot of variety just before Alpha 2 basically is what I'm aiming for. Unfortunately, you all checking out Alpha 1 will have the default set of skills, but that should still give you a plenty of variety, considering the only thing available in Alpha 1 is going to be the level 1 Forbidden Forest, as well as Side Dungeon 1 as well. Yeah, that's basically where we're at with the Soul Enhancement menu. Last devlog, this UI barely functioned, but now everything does save almost 100% correctly, except for the action bar, which also saw an improvement, at least visually. Before Alpha 1, I will get the action bar to save between levels. That's really the only issue with it right now, is this when you transition between, like, say, level 1 to Side Dungeon 1 or level 1 to level 2, which you'll be able to check out in Alpha 2, it just doesn't save. And so I'll get that so that way when you transition levels, it will save, and hopefully it won't be as big of a pain in the ass as it has been, but because it's been resisting all my efforts so far. But I'm going to be relentless, and I'm going to get it. It's going to get worn down, and it's finally going to save. So it'll get there. One of the main things I noticed with my testers also is that it took them quite a while to notice when heavy attacks could be used and when abilities could be used. And that's where the runes came in on the power bar, and over time I'll improve that, so that way if a skill says it requires 2 runes, you'll know when it's available because it will light up a bit more. I'm also toying with lighting up the skill itself as well, but that's a bit further out, as it's more of a refinement thing. And also the last bit of UI improvements is like the pause menu and the new fonts. You already probably noticed the new font. It looks a lot better across the board, super readable. And there's also a secondary font as well that I'm toying with for titles and stuff like that, that doesn't really need like extended readability like a block of text, for instance, like a tooltip. So definitely let me know what you think. Do you like these fonts? I personally love the main font that I'm using, but the secondary, I'm still kind of not sold on, but we'll have to play around with it a bit more. The last bit of the big improvements lie within Side Dungeon 1. Watching some of my testers and hearing from the others made one thing very clear. It's too hard and confined, so in a creative way I did extend it to allow dodgers to have a better time and reduce the number of wolves. This opened things up quite a bit and made the flow of the side dungeon much more natural. It also balanced the difficulty as well, since Side Dungeon 1's boss now has a special attack. Yes, you heard me right, finally this boss is feature complete and is in refinement stage. Hallelujah. The special attack is a cave-shaking growl with 3 ticks of damage. You can block them all to mitigate some of the damage, or gamble by trying to dodge them all to mitigate all damage. The choice is yours. The jump attack was also refined to happen more often as well, so the boss overall, this feels much more enjoyable, this all around. It's a much more enjoyable challenge. There's a lot of other minor changes that you may have noticed as well. New music's been added throughout the game, new rain and environmental particle effects were added, and an FPS counter was added too. On the back end, I greatly reorganized the player damage calculations to allow for easy scalability, and I do plan to use the same exact system for the AI as well, because this just works so flawlessly. I would love to be one of those devloggers who records everything from start to finish, but to be honest, a lot of it is just trial and error, with sometimes Google providing me an assist, since all you know, I'm new at this. So what's the goal for Devlog 6, the 6-ish month mark of developing Knights of the Forgotten Realm? Well, right now my focus is on making the action bar say, building the tutorial, and getting Alpha 1 released to you all, so that way you can provide some great feedback. I know it's going to be great because my early testers provided phenomenal feedback. So I'm hoping this will occur prior to the end of the month, but we'll just have to wait and see, because some of the feedback I received from pre-alpha 0.5 I do want to implement as well prior to flipping that Alpha 1 switch, and I'm also moving, so that throws a wrench in things as well. Also, if everything goes right shortly after Alpha 1, I will have the art needed for an opening cinematic, because I did contract an artist for it, so expect more lore popping up as well. I also want to do a 6-month retrospect video too, which will hopefully inspire some of you to start your own game dev journey as well, because it's been phenomenal for me. I've greatly enjoyed it. Lots to come, lots to do, always lots to do. And I hope you all continue to join me on my journey by hitting that subscribe button, ringing the bell, and if you already haven't, smash that like button into smithereens. But that is it for me. I'm Zach, and I'll catch you all next time.
Yeah!